Good evening, good evening, good evening. How we doing this evening? I hope everybody's feeling all right. I hope everybody had a good day. And if you're starting your day, I hope you set your day for some good intentions, whether you just starting or you started this morning. I hope you remember to treat everybody like you want to be treated. Do unto others as you want done unto you. Hope you gave thanks and show gratitude. Um, I came across a message last night. I was led to watch a movie on Netflix called The Overcomer. I couldn't go to sleep. Normally, I've been going to sleep like early. I'm in the bed early, like 7 o'clock. I'm in the bed, and I was in the bed, but I couldn't go to sleep. Like I know I didn't fall asleep till like after 12 a.m. and that's not normal for me right now. Like I've really been falling asleep like so early. It's crazy, but I was up and I was led to watch that movie. And it was a very powerful message in that movie. And that wasn't by coincidence. It was called The Overcomer. And the movie's about a 15-year-old girl. She lived with her grandmother. She was led to believe growing up that her parents were deceased. Both parents were deceased. And she had started a new school. She had a sticky finger issue. And she wanted to run. She wanted to, she became on the cross country team, which she was the only runner on the cross country team, turns out. But within the movie, her coach ended up randomly going into a guy's room in the hospital. He was up at the hospital with the pastor visiting someone else, and he ended up just accidentally going into another patient's room, and he ended up developing a relationship with this man. Long story short, that man turned out to be the young lady that ran on his cross country team father, that she was led to believe was deceased the whole time she was growing up by her grandmother. He was in bad shape, his life had went to shit. He made bad choices in his life, and the grandmother, she found it hard to forgive him because he actually led her daughter to drugs, which eventually took her life. And her granddaughter was a baby at the time, and he left. He didn't return, to come see about the child or anything. So the grandmother told her that growing up that her father was dead, So, I'm not even going to give my opinion on that. But, so, once again, long story short, the young lady was brought to meet her father without her grandmother knowing. She established a relationship with her dad. And she had to end up telling her grandmother. The coach and his wife took her, They discussed it amongst each other, and they decided to take it upon themselves. And they also talked to the principal of the school about the situation. And the principal actually knew the young lady's mom, so she had already knew the story. But that's another story too. But yeah, she knew the young lady's story, and so they took her to meet her dad. She established a relationship with her dad, and the grandmother eventually found out. The grandmother didn't like it. She said some words to the coach and his wife, because she was still bitter. She was bitter. She hadn't opened her heart yet. She hadn't forgiven him yet. In all those years, she still hadn't forgiven him. And throughout the movie, she ended up, opening her heart and forgiving him, But the young lady, she was introduced to the Bible. She was asked previously in the movie by her coach, who was she? She said she didn't know. She was later introduced to the Bible by her principal of the school. And the principal told her to read Ephesians chapters 1 and 2. She did. And when she did, it's like she just took off. She just took off. She became a whole new person. She became a whole new person, and she was hungry for more. She wanted to know more. She learned who she was in this world. She learned her place with God at 15 years old. She was awakened at 15 years old. I found that to be so amazing. Her grandmother ended up coming around, with the situation of her having a relationship with her dad. Her dad didn't last long. He ended up passing away. But she got to establish a relationship with him. She got to know things about him personally, up close and personal. She got to know the truth about him instead of the lies that she was told. And, it just goes to show you how God works in mysterious ways, that the man that ended up coaching her was the one who brought her together with her so-called deceased father. Which, they had a relationship for 6 weeks? And he ended up passing, but it meant so much to her. And he actually led her to win the state championship. He was blind, mind you. He was blind. He had diabetes. It was killing him. Caused more ailments in his body. And he was a runner in his day. So he was able to make a recording for her, which helped her win the state championship, which I thought was so dope. It was so cool. But it was just amazing to me how that young lady read those 2 chapters of Ephesians. She became so hungry. She wanted to know more. She learned who she was in this world. She learned her place with God. And she turned into a different person for the better. She started returning the things that she had stolen from everybody. I mean, baby girl she was just stealing. But she righted her wrongs. She righted her wrongs. And, it gave a powerful message because, the grandmother, all those years, kept her heart closed to forgiving that man, not actually realizing that her daughter made her own choice to do the drugs. Like, she made her own choice to do the drugs. I mean, she might have did it while with him, but she made her own choice to do the drugs. That's what we need to learn. We have to forgive people, and she was going through hard times. Her grandmother was, trying to raise her, and she was working 2 jobs. And, a lot of times we got to realize just because we haven't opened our hearts to forgiveness is why we're going through things that we don't want to be going through. It's why we're lacking things. It seems like we can't get over this hump, Sometimes all it takes is some forgiveness. And forgiveness is not for them. It's actually for you. It's for you to cleanse your heart. Your heart needs to be cleansed so that you can move to the next level of your life. We're not going to get nowhere if we holding grudges and being bitter. No, we're not going to get nowhere like that. We have to forgive people. We got to learn to forgive people. Let it go. It's not getting us nowhere. Holding them grudges and being bitter like that. It's not getting us absolutely nowhere. So I know I was led to that. That wasn't a coincidence. I was led to watch that, and I I'm thankful that I was led to watch it because I enjoyed it and it had powerful messages in it. And that young lady got to know her dad. He missed the first 15 years of her life, but she still was able to get to know him. And although he wasn't at the best state of his life, he was able to help her accomplish something that she wouldn't have accomplished if she had not met him. She had never run a race in her life, and when she met her dad, she won a state championship. So sometimes we have to look at things. God does things on his own time, on his own terms. Although the coach and his wife, I feel like, they were out of place going behind that lady's back like that, but it turned out, it ended in good favor. So, sometimes people do things, they step out of boundaries, but it didn't end like it could have, because that lady could have went above and beyond and got them people in trouble for that, but she didn't, and she was able to open her heart to forgiveness, so everybody, it was good. It was good. It was good. It was just good. It was just good. So people need to hear that, you have to forgive. Open your heart to forgiveness, open your heart to forgiveness. Some of y'all need to open the Bible. Some of y'all need to start reading those verses. Some of y'all don't know who y'all are in this world. It's time that you know who you are so that you can move forward, so that you can know what direction you're going. Sometimes we don't know who we are. We get confused. We be stuck. And it's all because we're in our own way, because we won't do things that we need to do to get the knowledge that we need. Get the knowledge that you need. Learn who you are. Know who you are. You have a place in this world. You have a purpose in this world. You have a purpose in this world. So it's important that you learn who you are. You got to know who you are. We all are powerful. We all are powerful beings. If we just take the time out to know who we are. And just think, that young lady was 15 years old. She was awakened at 15. That's a blessing. 15? Woo. Man. And then when the movie ended, she was at 21. Just moving gracefully with her life. Because she knew who she was. She knew who she was. She knew how powerful she was then. She knew that she could do all things through Christ. She knew. So, like I'm saying, the message was, some people need to know who they are. A lot of us don't know who we are, and we need to know who we are so that we can move forward, man. We got to know who we are. We got to know who we are. We got to move forward in life. Because like I said many a times previously, nobody wants to be stuck. We don't want to be stuck. We don't want to be stuck. So people, we need to learn who we are and our place in this world. We really need to know those things. Open up that good book. Open it up. Whatever book it is you prefer to read. Whatever it is, whichever book you prefer to read, the Quran, whatever you prefer to read, open it up. Open it up. Know who you are. I just believe that's important for us. Because once we know who we are, then we set those boundaries. We move different. We learn to let go. Yeah, we learn our path in life. We learn our purpose in life. We bloom into a different person. Our energy is so much different. And it's for the better. It's for the greater. So we all need to know who we are. If you're confused, if you're lost, open the Bible. Do some research. Know who you are. Know who you are. You know, we got to know who we are. Let's know who we are. You know, let's step away from all the BS, all the chaos, all the noise. You know, because that's what it's time for. We all have a purpose. And like I said, if you don't know who you are, you won't know who your purpose, what your purpose is. You know, it still might take a minute. You know, but we gotta get rid of the confusion, the illusions, the fear. You know, we gotta let those go. We gotta let those go. And part of letting that go is knowing who we are and what we hold within us. So that's just a message. Somebody else need to hear that. Like I said, if I get a message, it ain't just for me. It ain't just for me. We all connected. So go watch the movie, The Overcomer. It's on Netflix. Powerful messages. Renew your heart. Renew your heart. Forgive. Forgive. Drop the burdens. Drop the grudges. Get rid of the bitterness. Let it go. Let go and let God. Kenya Lewis. Be blessed. I am who I am now.